morning sun shines on the gleaming hide of a muscular ranch horse. The aroma of bacon and coffee drifts from the wood cook stove at a cow camp. Silver spurs jingle as the men and women of the West get set for another day in the saddle. From the heart of Canada's finest ranching country, this is the Spirit of the West with rancher and horse trainer Hugh McLennan and his collection of music, poetry, and conversations with the folks who live and work with horses and cattle in the Spirit of the West.
You know, a few years ago, we had our saddled horses loaded in Vic's trailer hauling up a logging road to the summer range where we'd planned to take out a bunch of cows from a neighboring ranch who got in there when some hunters had left the gate open. We came around a bend and there were the cows. So we stopped the truck, unloaded our horses, and the cows took off. Now, we often hear about the importance of warming your horse up, even doing some groundwork before you take off, but Jim just stepped in the stirrup, swung aboard, spurred his horse into a full gallop in one stride, and he got around the cows and got them stopped. Man, I don't think I could ever get away with that. Now, Bob and Pinky Tabor are back this week, and Bob will have a story about the importance of warming up your horse.
Your steer's in the chute, but you better warm your horse up. I said, no.
He'll be fine.
He's fine. He don't need warming up. My horse don't buck. Those are my exact words.
Well, the cost of Christmas dinner might be less this year than last year, and the Rangeland News will check that out.
One reason may be many holiday food items are costing less than they did a year ago.
And Baxter Black is a little concerned about the names modern-day young parents are giving their kids these days.
These are my children, Cheetah, Whooping Crane, and Condor. My son, Galapagos Turtle, and his sister, Green Iguana.
Doris Daly is in the Cowboy Poetry Spotlight, and on the Urban Saddles and Western Wear horse training file, I'll have some information about riding your horse in the winter for folks who don't have access to an indoor arena. And we'll go back to the visit with ranching couple Bob and Pinky Tabor after a good song about Christmas and cattle country from Myra Pierce.
We're rolling on home for Christmas, back to that little family farm, driving through those little towns decked in red and green, by a country church with a nativity scene, past the grain elevators, beadless highline poles, and a herd of Hereford cattle braced against the cold. We're rolling on home for Christmas, back to that little family farm. Got a wreath tied on the grill of our old Chevrolet. It's loaded down with presents like Santa's sleigh. We're singing Christmas carols with the radio. The prairie wind is howling and we're hoping for snow. The kids keep asking how many miles to go. Rolling on home for Christmas. Tomorrow we'll be sitting down to Grandma's pumpkin pie. Then Grandpa and the kids will saddle Thunder for a ride. There's a glow in the distance, we're just 20 miles away. Look there in the headlights, you can see the first snowflake. We're rolling on home for Christmas, back to that little family farm. Got a wreath tied on the grill of our old Chevrolet. It's loaded down with presents like Santa's sleigh. We're singing Christmas carols with the radio. Prairie wind is howling and we're hoping for snow. The kids keep asking how many miles to go. Rolling on home for Christmas. We're rolling on home, rolling on home, rolling on home for Christmas.
Meanwhile, back on the cruise ship, and the conversation around the dinner table was so much fun that we continued it well on into the evening. It's interesting talking around the tables in the dining room with this bunch we've got on the cruise, and I just love sort of dropping on the conversations here and there and everywhere, and it's all pretty much the same kind of stuff, you know.
It is, yeah.
So much is about horses, the good ones and the bad ones, and I like the comment you made tonight at supper about quads and working cattle on quads, and Richard said, well, we handle them mostly with quads. And we don't allow them on our place.
No,
not Richard,
either.
but he's welcome, but the quads aren't.
Yeah, exactly on ours too. Yeah, we had a phone call here the other day. It's Atco Power, I think it is. Yeah, Atco Power. Anyway, they have a big major line goes through our place. It's wooden poles, but big three-phase thing. And they're going to want to replace some cross arms. We've had fires start because the cross arm of the bolt wears out and it burns down through the pole and whatever. But anyway, I said this young lady phoned, and God's sake, they're from Vegreville, which is a long ways from our place. And I said, well, I don't know if you can get through out there because there's some cut bank coulees and rough hills you got to get through, and if there's snow, you can't just go where you want to go. I don't know if there is snow or not. Well, she couldn't tell me. But I said, first of all, I said, stay on the right-of-way, which is impossible. They can't do that because you can't climb a straight cut bank. You just can't do it, And I said, and close the gates. And we've had trouble with them come through, and I got the gates pretty tight to keep hunters and people out of there when there's cattle in. And those city boys that are doing that can't seem to shut a gate properly. And so, anyway, I said, well, I'm not home. I think where were we in Boston or some bloody place, and so I can't help you out. But keep them on the right of way. And she said, well, maybe I'll just tell them to wait till you get back. You can look after the thing. But yeah, so we just I don't know. I'll let hunters go up if they want to walk. But leave your vehicles at the gate and walk out and.
As far as cattle and quads, we have some neighbors that, very few in our part of the country, that use quads with their cattle because they just don't work. And we've had more stories about guys having awful wrecks because they're watching the cow and the quad isn't watching where it's going, and they crash right into something or drive into a slough or over a bank or upset the thing trying to keep an eye on that cow. So it's.
I always figured if you're moving cattle with a horse, it's his job to watch where he's putting his feet.
They do,
and I've never had a spill yet on some pretty wild old chases once in a while. And
I'll bet you've had some wild ones.
Well, there's been a few, but it's... And I had a really good horse one time. I ended up, he broke his leg, the poor bugger, but a black horse, and he was fast. Holy man, it wasn't too many horses in the country could catch him. Only one that I know of could catch him. He could just run. And, boy, he never missed a step. You could just sit there and...
One eye on the cow and one eye on where he's putting his feet.
I don't know how he did it, because we went some bloody stupid places, but, if you were going to rope something, you knew dang sure you were going to get there, and he just never missed a beat.
Well, Bob remembers one of the best horses he ever had, and you'll hear a song that's becoming a real favorite this time of year in cattle country, when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. When the people of the land get together, there's often a feeling that we have a lot in common. We live close to Mother Nature. We love our livestock, our cattle, our dogs, and especially our horses. And Bob Tabor told us more about one of the best ones he ever had.
If you were going to rope something, you knew dang sure you were going to get there, and he just never missed a beat. Till he broke his leg one day.
How did that happen?
I have no idea. We come home, we'd been away for the weekend, and we come home, and he was standing out, 300-400 yards from the house, and I never thought much about it, you're just resting, and next morning he's still standing there, but his head's kind of down, and so I walked out, and there was no hope. It was snapped right off, just holding back his skin. So he got the silver bullet. And
had you had a lot of good years with him before?
Oh, a few, yeah. He wasn't that old. I bought him as a 4 or 5-year-old. I'd had 5 or 6 good years with him. Yeah, he was a young horse. Just no idea what happened to him. Yeah, that was I can get pretty emotional about him. He was a good buddy. I could go out and go out for a smoke, and we kept him in a little pasture just behind the house with electric fence, and I could whistle and he'd come over and want to be scratched, and he was just a good horse. But they don't all last forever.
No, they don't. And what do you got for horses now? Like, you got a pretty good one you ride now, Pinky?
Well, he's...
Or is he the one you have a little personality conflict with
No,
sometimes?
he's a nice little horse. I really liked him. But last spring I had a little problem with him, and he started shying out from underneath me when I tried to get on. I'm getting too old to get on real quick, so now I hobble him. Bob hobbles him, I get on, and he's good. He never
He'll stand like
does
a baby
it.
with hobbles, but as soon as you try to step up, it just blows like
Like even if I just walk up beside him and touch him, I don't know. I think there was something that happened to him before I ever had him.
Well, once you're up and on him,
He's good. He's 100%. Yeah. Sometimes when I go to get off, last time I went to go get off, he jumped out from underneath me too.
That's not too good either.
Well, I always got this little quirk, and we don't know why.
Yeah, we don't know where it came from.
We'd had him for, 3-4 years.
I'd ridden him for 4 years.
Do you have to shoe him?
We don't anymore. No, we barefoot them. And,
I wish we could. Gosh.
Well, in your country, I mean,
in your country,
if we go into the foothills, we do. If we're going to be there for very long, we will put shoes on them. But
Now we'll get to the story about the consequences of not warming up your horse before you rope a steer after this Christmas favorite from Jeremy Willis. Yeah, and you know the cows probably don't know that it's Christmas time.
It was 6 and I was 4. I woke up to the sound of a wood stove door and my dad throwing kindling on the burn. Well, I jumped up and hit the floor, 'cause we'd hung our stockings on the night before, and those Christmas gifts were my only heart's concern. Dad was dressed, his big boots on, and I couldn't believe it that he wanted to get gone when Santa had been here some hours before. But Dad just smiled, shook his head, said, "Load my stocking when everything's fed. It's Christmas, but somebody's gotta do the chores." You see, the cows don't know it's Christmas. They can't help themselves, so it's up to us to care for all our creatures, great and small. There's hay to feed, troughs to thaw. When the chores are all finished, they will deck the halls. Yeah, those cows don't know it's Christmas time at all. No, sir. So it's up to us to care for all our creatures, great and small. There's hay to feed, troughs to thaw. When the chores are all finished, they will deck the halls. Yeah, those cows don't know it's Christmas time at all. Lessons learned, I'm older now. I got kids of my own and I teach them somehow to care for those who can't, 'cause I believe if you went back to that day, hay in the manger where the little boy lay, 'cause someone did their chores on Christmas Eve. You see, the cows don't know it's Christmas, can't help themselves, so it's up to us to care for all our creatures, great and small. There's hay to feed, troughs to thaw. When the chores are all finished, they will deck the halls. Yeah, those cows don't know it's Christmas time at all. I said the cows don't know it's Christmas, can't help themselves, so it's up to us to care for all God's creatures, great and small. There's hay to feed, troughs to thaw. When the chores are all finished, they will deck the halls. Yeah, those cows don't know it's Christmas time at all. You see, them cows don't know it's Christmas time at all.
Well, as Billy and I continue to visit with Bob and Pinky, we got around to why a lot of us older guys don't shoe our own horses anymore. And it often comes down to how we have maybe abused our backs. It was the first time I hurt my back, and I had this kind of a snaky little roan young mare I was starting for friend of mine that ranched just across the river. Her name was Spice, and I guess that name suited her. Boy, she was so cranky. Man, oh man, But I got to where, and it was in the winter, and I was putting miles on her, and I had ridden her for about 2 hours through the snow across the Pritchard Quarter and back into the yard, and on just where the driveway into the pens was kind of plowed and the ground was frozen, and I had to step her over a little snowbank, and this after I'd been on her for a couple hours, and as she stepped over that bank, she just one great big buck and flipped me right up out of there, and I'm down flat on my back, wind knocked completely out of me, can't move hardly. I hollered. Billy finally came out the door and kind of helped me get up, and she unsaddled her and turned her out and helped me into the... It was just before Christmas, actually. Sat me down in the recliner chair and said, "I'll give you your Christmas present now." Okay, and she went into the bedroom and came out with Mike Kevil's book on starting colts. And you might want, while you're recuperating, you can read this. Yeah. Okay, those are my stories. I want to hear more of yours.
I've got more. The one it's still, everybody laughs still about this. I didn't think it was that funny at the time, but we were team roping, and Buddy and I built an arena at his place, and so we were team roping. We were late getting there, and they'd already run these cattle through the chute 3 or 4 times. These other guys, and they said, "Come on, there, your steer's in the chute, but you better warm your horse up." I said, "No,
he'll be fine.
He's fine. He don't need warming up. My horse don't buck." Those are my exact words. So anyway, yes, well, they were last because I got on him, and I don't often rope the first one out. You got to get your arm warmed up or whatever. So anyway, I went out there, and geez, a perfect head loop went on him, and I dallied, and we were lickety-splitting down the arena, and this Jake horse just planted, and he bucked. He just threw a complete fit, like it was just like he was come out of a bucking chute, Well, I went up in the air, and I was wearing a ball cap with a mesh top, Didn't have my hat on, but anyway.
Well, that's your first problem right there. See, you'd be riding the ball cap.
Yeah. Anyway, I come down right on my beam, and which is the safest place for me to land. I didn't get hurt too bad there. Anyway, got up and took my hat off, and the dirt was just filtering down. And everybody's just laughing fit to be. I said, my horse don't buck, but he sure proved me wrong that day.
And we'll have more with the Tabors in a little while. Baxter Black is next. And then the Rangeland News when the Spirit of the West continues right after this.
Howdy, friends. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan, and I'll be right back after this with a little peek at old-fashioned names. Well, friends, thanks for listening. It'll be no surprise that I've published a beautiful new hardback book called A Commotion in Rhyme. It fits in the bunkhouse, the outhouse, the bookstore, the library, or the cookbook. Unfortunately, it won't fit in a cupcake. Buy 2, get 1 free. A commotion? Oh. Call 800-654-2550 or BaxterBlack.com. Come to think of it, it might fit in a Caesar salad. Sally took her daughter to enroll in an extracurricular English literature class. She met the teacher, a gray-haired, keen-eyed, matronly woman whose bearing and presence commanded respect. "This is my daughter Laura," Sally said. The imposing teacher's eyes narrowed. "Laura," she said, "I am so pleased to meet a young person with a real name. A beautiful name, a traditional, flowing, mellifluous appellation that resonates good taste. I, unfortunately," she continued, "have grandchildren named for common nouns depicting minor geographical features, such as ridge, brook, forest. I can only imagine how this trend will continue. Ditch, hedge, culvert. Soon we will move on to calling our children after natural disasters. Hurricane, avalanche, tsunami. These are my twins, tempest and typhoon, thunder and lightning, sleet and hail. What has happened to Richard, Neville, and Winston, Elizabeth, Odetta, and Edna? Will we progress to naming them after endangered species? These are my children, Cheetah, Whooping Crane, and Condor, my son Galapagos Turtle, and his sister Green Iguana, or maybe astrological phenomena, nebula, or diseases, Ebola and Brucella. The Native Americans were inspired by their natural surroundings to select names: Two Bears, Roan Horse, Blooming Prairie. Following their lead, our subdivision descendants will probably choose such beauties as Parking Lot, Multiplex, Richter Scale. The teacher took a deep breath and sighed. Sorry to get wound up. It's so nice to meet you both. My name is Willie Mays McCullough. Me dad was a baseball fan. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan. Thanks for listening.
Looking for an ideal Christmas gift or stocking stuffer? How about a weekend pass to the 23rd Annual Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 14th to 17th, 2019. Just about the finest lineup of talent we've ever had. Michael Fleming.
On the back roads of Utah near the San Rafael, an old rough stock rider strides to the corral.
Gene Prescott.
Then he'd swing down from the saddle, and he'd take me in his arms.
Tim Huss.
The band's tuning up, and they're stocking the bar. Ranchers are coming from near and far.
Special guest, Lewis the Big Rig McIver, and so many more. The BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, dinner shows, daytime entertainment, a spectacular art and gear show, workshops on everything from songwriting to saddle making. The best place to get all the information is bcchs.com. And to order tickets, call 1-888-763-2221. Just ahead of the Rangeland News, you no doubt have noticed the traffic, the noise, the crowds, how busy it is in the shopping malls. And Christmas in the city is a lot different than it is way out in the country, where it's peaceful, quiet, and cold. And I love this song about a cowboy spending the winter at a line camp, and the only way to get to the dance in town is to saddle up his good horse and ride. Here's the rich, resonant voice of R.W. Hampton.
It's cold and windy up on the flats. Branson's got a foot of new snow. With the 12 that we got the first of last week, there's nowhere and no way to go. But you can't hardly snow in a cowboy. So I saddle all easy and ride. And down by the Cross L, across the dry Cimarron, there's a big dance in full sun tonight. It's another Long Canyon Christmas. I'm lonesome, but I'm doing fine. No, it's not the cold wind. I'm thinking about a baby boy at a long, long ago Christmas night. Say, would you look at that big shining star hanging high in the east on the rise? And I'm wishing that I could just follow that star like the three men the book said was wise. Oh, little cow town, no, you're not Bethlehem, but you're mighty inviting tonight. And before I ride down, gonna stay here a while, 'cause everything feels so right. It's another Long Canyon Christmas. I'm lonesome, but I'm doing fine. No, it's not the cold wind. I'm thinking about a baby boy and a long ago Christmas night. No, it's not the cold wind. I'm a thinking about a baby boy a at a long, long ago Christmas night.
Silent night, holy night.
Sleep in heavenly peace.
Now the news of the Rangeland, a roundup of news and coming events from around the West.
At the top of page 1, it says, as we get older, we're finding we don't spend as much on gifts for each other as we used to. I guess we haven't made the right impression by now. Anyway, some folks are turning to food as Christmas gifts, and what age group you're in determines on how much you spend. Here's Gary Crawford.
I admit my favorite dish is food, yes, but I wouldn't go quite this far.
All I want for Christmas is food.
Food, yes, a lot of us will be giving and getting holiday gifts of food.
90% of consumers are planning on buying candy or food, buying it for themselves or for loved ones.
Anna Seraphin Smith with the National Retail Federation, their big consumer survey shows when it comes to buying holiday foods and candies.
Consumers are planning on spending about $119 on that, a little bit lower than last year, which we forecasted at $121.
One reason may be many holiday food items are costing less than they did a year ago. Now, it seems the amount you spend on holiday foods may depend on your age.
Folks from ages 55 to 64 are going to be spending the most on candy and food.
The average for them about $126 a piece compared to millennials ages 25 to 34 at only $96. Makes sense, though.
That age group of 55 to 64 are the parents of millennials. They're probably are the ones that are hosting.
So for the holidays anyway, food is good. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.
Grazing on Crown land could change for Manitoba ranchers. For years, Manitoba has used a complex point system to determine who wins the right to lease agricultural Crown land. The provincial government has been planning to change that system, and it looks like it's decided on public auctions, either in person or online. Manitoba is moving to public auctions for Crown land because a lot of producers don't like the current way leases are allocated. They've said that it's not transparent, and applicants were often confused by the final decision. There are about 1.45 million acres of agricultural Crown land that can be leased to farmers and ranchers in the province. A percentage of beef producers rely heavily on Crown land for hay and pasture. Meanwhile, Alberta beef producers, as well as the Alberta Grazing Leaseholders Association, Western Stock Growers, and the Northern Alberta Grazing Association, have been lobbying the provincial government to change the grazing lease framework there. The group recently met with Environment and Parks Minister Shannon Phillips over the matter, and Phillips said more consultation is needed before any changes can move forward. Producer groups have proposed the rate be changed to a market-based formula, tying it to the price of cattle. If the industry is profitable, rates would go up. If not, they would go down, though there would be a minimum rate no matter the circumstances. As well, there would be a 5- and 10-year rolling average to smooth out any spikes and dips. Under new federal antibiotic dispensing rules that took effect on the 1st of December, livestock producers will now need a valid veterinary-client relationship. Common over-the-counter antibiotics will now require a veterinary prescription and may be difficult to obtain without a vet-client agreement. These rules also apply to feed mills that prepare medicated feeds. Well, cattle sales at the BC Livestock Co-op yards are taking a little Christmas break now, and the next regular sale at the Kamloops yards is January 22nd, and there's a big bred cow and bred heifer sale on January 29th. You can get the sales schedule and much more at bclivestock.bc.ca. Meanwhile, over at the Innisfail Auction Market, family owned and run for many, many years in that area, the next horse sale, hey, here's a place to get a Christmas gift. Next horse sale is December 22nd. Tack starts selling at 9 a.m. and the horses start coming through at noon. You can check the sales schedule for the holidays at InnisfailAuctionMarket.com. And that takes us down to the final item, and here's something I wasn't aware of. You may not be either. According to the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, while both male and female reindeer grow antlers in the summer each year, the male reindeer drop their antlers at the beginning of winter, usually late November to mid-December. But the female reindeer retain their antlers until after they give birth in the spring. Therefore, according to every historical rendition depicting Santa's reindeer, every single one of them, from Rudolph to Blitzen, had to be a girl reindeer. And as Billy says, we should have known, only women would be able to drag a fat man in a red suit all around the world in one night and not get lost. And that's the Rangeland News. Coming up on the Urban Saddles and Western Wear Horse Training File, I'll look at some of the things that make winter riding a little easier if you don't have an indoor arena when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West.
Now it's time for the Horse Training File, brought to you by Irvine Tack and Western Wear, Canada's largest Western store.
You know, Kris Kringle and Albertans have a lot in common. The work never stops. And here's another thing we have in common. Urban Tack and Western Wear. That's right, even Santa knows where to go to keep warm way up north. Boots, gloves, North Face jackets, toasty and durable for December weather. Sure, he still wears the bright red suit, guided by Rudolph's bright red nose, but underneath it's all Urbans. Off exit 305 on Highway 2 by Crossfield, open 7 days a week, or shop online at urbans.ca.
Don't just wear it, live it. Urban Tack and Western Wear.
Interesting question this week, and I'm sure a lot of folks share this situation. I love to ride. I've got a pretty good horse, but where we live, winter's long with a lot of snow, and it can be pretty cold. So my horse doesn't get ridden until spring, and then it takes a couple of weeks to get him back to where he was when I quit riding in the fall. I know you have a lot of snow where you live, but I've heard you ride all winter long. Do you have an indoor arena? Ha! I wish, but we sure don't. One of the first things I get looked after are good winter shoes and pads on the horses I plan to ride in the snow and ice. My farrier makes them up and welds boreum cleats in about 3 spots on the bottom of regular rim shoes, and then he fits the rubber or neoprene snow pads between the shoe and the foot, and that keeps the snow from balling up when it's below freezing. And I prefer to use a Bozell rather than a bit for riding in the winter, but I do bring all my bridles with bits inside and keep them inside when the weather's cold. That's easier than taking quite a while to warm the bit in my hands before I put it into their mouth. And I do love loping across a pasture where the snow is about a foot of soft powder and it's just flying up with every stride. That's as much fun as downhill skiing. Keeping my hands warm and my feet warm can be a challenge. I like to wear gloves so I still have a good feel for the horse, but sometimes I got to wear those big winter mitts. And I've been lucky over the years. My feet don't usually get that cold, and even though my horse has great traction, my regular riding boots don't. And I finally found a good pair of winter riding boots, and that makes quite a difference. They've got good traction on the ground, and my spurs still fit on them as well. I like to keep several trails open late into the winter, mostly just to be continuously riding over them. That's a good excuse to ride. I got to go keep the trail open. And I make a couple of 150-foot in diameter circles in the snow. That's a great place to work on leads, and it's a real aerobic workout for the horse. As for my ears, I usually just put an ear band on under my regular cowboy hat, and if it's too cold for that, well, I just stay in the house by the fire. There are times when we've been bringing cows in from the high country on cold, snowy winter days, and our horses have to work real hard. By the time we've finished, the frozen sweat has formed icicles on their necks and bellies, and the steam is rising from them, so I'll really do my best to get them dried off, and I'll sometimes leave them in a stall overnight if conditions are that bad outside, but most of the time they do just fine out in the ice and snow. And for Urban Saddles and Western Wear, that's the Horse Training File. Looking for an ideal Christmas gift or stocking stuffer? How about a weekend pass to the 23rd Annual Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 14th to 17th, 2019. Just about the finest lineup of talent we've ever had. Michael Fleming.
On the back roads of Utah near the San Rafael, an old rough stock rider strides through the corral.
Gene Prescott.
Then he'd swing down from the saddle, and he'd take me in his arms.
Tim Huss.
The band's tuning up and they're stocking the bar. Ranchers are coming from near and far.
Special guest Lewis the Big Rig McIver, and so many more. The BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, dinner shows, daytime entertainment, a spectacular art and gear show, workshops on everything from songwriting to saddle making. The best place to get all the information is bcchs.com. And to order tickets, call 1-888-763-2221. So what are you doing from August 29th to September 13th, 2019? Well, Billy and I will be hosting our 18th annual Spirit of the West cruise, and here's where we'll be going. We'll fly to Dublin, Ireland. We'll be visiting an Irish thoroughbred breeding farm. We'll be hosted by the Irish Cattle Breeding Federation, and then we'll sail to some historic and beautiful places including Cork, Belfast, then Glasgow and Inverness, Scotland. And we might even get pictures of Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. And we'll have stops in Paris and London. Now, this is something we've always wanted to do, and we'd love to have you join us. Get all the information at 1-800-530-0131. And check our Spirit of the West cruise page at hugh-mclennan.com and our cruise Facebook page. And remember, our second Spirit of the West cruise reunion is set for April the 25th, and Spirit of the West cruisers can reacquaint with past cruisers and friends at the cruise reunion in Westerner Park in Red Deer, Alberta, and that's the same weekend and location as the main event. That's April 25th from 5 to 8:30. There'll be music with the Western Spirit Band and our Cruisin' Cowboy Band, refreshments, and lots of videos and pictures of past cruises. Admission's just $10 a person in advance or $20 at the door. And friends are welcome too. You can RSVP to cruise vacations at 1-800-530-0131. Well, as our visit with longtime ranching couple Bob and Pinky Tabor continued, Bob shared this true life adventure.
Looking for a new horse, and on the internet, I think it was what they call it, this buckskin horse this girl had over at Sundry, and so I see the picture of him, and I phoned this girl, and yeah, he's still there, and could we come and look at him? Yeah, you sure can. So I said, well, shoot, we'll just hook along to the trailer. It's not that, it's a couple-hour drive, but at least we got the trailer. I don't have to make 2 trips. So we get over there, and she's kind of good looking, this girl. The horse wasn't bad. So anyway, so they saddled him up, and her and her boyfriend were there, and they went out in the little arena there to rope or to work in and stuff. And so she gets on, and she runs him around and side passes and opens gates with him and lopes down the arena. And I said, well, I want to see what happens. You just crack him from this fence here to that. Just crack him open, give him right in the belly and let him
Stretch him right out.
And he just flattened out, and away he went. Yeah, everything's good. So, do you want to ride him? Well, yeah, I better have a go at him. So I get on. So I took him out, and I walked him around and trotted him up and down and did the side passes and worked with the gate, and that was good. So we were coming back, and this is pretty cool. And I'm coming back to where they were all standing down at the other end. And I kicked him into a lope, and he just fired, blew up, just went berserk. Down went his head, and up went I was down. And
were you wearing spurs?
No, I was just barefoot, and I don't know what got into him. And well, they couldn't believe it; they were just amazed. So anyway, long story short, I bought the horse and brought him home.
You did anyway?
Oh yeah. Well, she was good looking. The girl was.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Anyway, we brought him home. I'd ridden him probably a dozen times, but never had him out at the lope. We'd trot once in a while, but we just checking fences or looking at cows, Anyway, the fellows that run our place, they come down. They were gathering bulls, and so we'll go in. But they were late getting there, and it was getting a little dark towards the evening, and well, we better kick. So they kicked into a lope. Now, well, shoot, I'll go with them.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
Oh, my gosh.
Crap, did he blow up? And when he bucked, he just put his head right between his knees and just... Oh, man. I got about 5 jumps out of him, and that was the last thing I remember. I was hit the ground. I was out colder than a tick.
Really?
I've never been knocked out in my life, but I was. Oh, and come out of that, and my ear, I landed somehow and tore my ear half off, so there's blood running, and, And
they can sew that back on. Though.
Yeah, well, they did.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, they trucked me back to the house. One guy rode back and got the truck and come and got me. And I didn't remember, like I was,
probably concussion going on.
Yes. A little bit, they said, yeah. Went down to the hospital and got my ear sewed back on, and
yeah, just like in the poem.
Yeah. And well, she wouldn't let me ride him again, and I kind of thought, well, that's probably a smart thing, so we didn't.
Yeah.
But anyway, I sent him off to a young fellow that's he's a hand with the horses. He can ride just about anything that's got hair on it, and he couldn't make him buck. He just said, I tried everything. He said, from a cold back, cold start, and he wouldn't buck.
Oh, man.
It just ripped me off.
Yeah. Jeez.
But he said, he's got issues. He said, when he moved a bunch of cows with him. He said, about a 10-mile drive, but you're just trailing cows or pairs and nothing serious going on. And, when he loaded him on the trailer, brought him back to his yard, when he went to get off the trailer, he could hardly walk. He was just sore on every leg.
Well, the hands are all back from the lion shacks. Summer pastures are covered with snow. Handmade gifts fill their saddle packs, all wrapped with ribbons and bows. Under a solstice moon, they lope down to the ranch house of the brand. At the hitching post, they dismount and enter hat in hand. Whoopee-tie-I-O, whoopee-tie-I-E. You can hear jingle bells, you can hear jingle balls, when the cow posts decorate the tree. It's a cowboy Christmas Eve. Well, Lefty's trusty Colt 6 guns both have handles that broke. As a gift, Slim made him new ones, hand carved from hard mountain oak. No gift cost a leg or an arm. The gift of life gave all Christmas cheer. The toast to it came from their hearts. Despite stampedes, they'll greet a new year. Whoopee-tie-I-O, whoopee-tie-I-E. You can hear jingle bells, you can hear jingle bells, you can hear jingle balls, you can hear jingle balls, when the cow pokes decorate the tree. It's a cowboy Christmas Eve. It's a cowboy Christmas Eve.
Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. The Cowboy Poetry Spotlight has something I know you'll enjoy wherever you are from Doris Daly. And this is a song written by the late Curly Musgrave, and we lost this fine musician and terrific guy much too soon. He'd been at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival a couple of times and was part of our Canadian showcase in Branson, Missouri a few years ago, along with folks like Ben Crane, Eli Barzy, Bryn Thiessen, Rick and Casey Peden, and Butch Falk. And this is Butch with a song that Curly wrote.
These old cowboy bones are weary from years of hanging on to ornery cayuses and memories long gone. I can barely hit the saddle when the morning cold prevails. and I've left the better parts of me on the many drives and trails. My thumbs are thrashed and throbbing, and my knees have long been gone. Crushed twixt fence and buck and colts when the breaking needed done. But it's not that I'm complaining, Lord, or wanting to turn tail, but I hear you calling for me, and I'd like one last trail. Lord, give me one last trail. Lord, give me one last ride, before I hang my spurs and saddle and cross that last divide. Let me see one more sunrise, hear one more coyote's wail, praying one last sundown, riding one last trail. I've been blessed, Lord, like few others who would love the life I choose, that spend their life in high-rise walls on crowded avenues. But I just don't want to hang 'em up, though my body's getting frail, and I figure I've got wind enough to ride one last trail. Lord, give me one last trail. Grant me one last ride, before I hang my spurs and saddle and cross that last divide. Let me see one more sunrise, hear one more coyote's wail, praying one last sundown, riding one last trail. I can't count the days I've tasted, near forgot when I was born. Names of ponies that I've mounted, except this road I'm riding on. Partners' names will oft escape me, and my memories fade and fail. But I remember I'm a cowboy, so give me one last trail. Lord, give me one last trail. Grant me one last ride, before I hang my spurs and saddle and cross that last divide. Let me see one more sunrise, hear one more coyote's wail, praying one last sundown, riding one last trail. Praying one last sundown, riding one last trail.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter where you live. Being away from home at Christmas isn't the same as being there with your family. Our Spirit of the West cruise in September wound up with an amazing 3 days in New York City, and we really didn't think we'd like it, but man, oh man, we sure did. An absolutely amazing time and fascinating place. And New York City is the setting for this masterpiece from Doris Daly.
Sure is pretty here tonight. Excitement in the air. Busy shoppers hustle home through Central Park. The tree must be 10 stories tall in Rockefeller Square, and a million lights are sparkling in the dark. Oh, it's a fast-paced life I'm living. It's first class all the way. Fancy office, fancy parties, fancy things. I'm shooting for the works, is what my friends all heard me say. And now, I dine with presidents and kings. It's glamorous, all right, success and all the rest. And maybe it's this little skiff of snow. But tonight, I'm kinda lonesome for a little place out west and a cowboy down the road I used to know. I bet an opal moon shines on the eastern slopes tonight. The hills lie still beneath a snowy shawl. Chores are done, the porch light's on, a fire crackles bright, maybe Ian's singing at the Longview Hall. It's the symphony for me tonight, champagne and caviar, oh, the swirl and sway and sparkle of this place. But you know, I kinda long to hear a cowboy's soft guitar and to feel a warm chinook upon my face. Where'd she go? That little girl who used to live in cowboy boots, made sure each year that Rudolph got some hay. Oh, she's not gone far, just dresses now in silk designer suits and is living life the New York City way. Sure is pretty here tonight. Excitement in the air, a dab of French perfume, my cab is here. In the swirl and sway and sparkle, I say a little prayer. May it be Christmas in Alberta for me next year.
Well, thank you so much for making the ride again this week, and I sure hope you can join us right here next week at the same time for the annual Spirit of the West Christmas Special. And the week after that, we'll bring you the best of 2018, and what a year it was. Thanks again to our great support crew, Mark and Kathy McMillan, and if you need tractor parts, any make, any year, just see Mark's page, bctractorparts.com. And there's a lot of great reading in every issue of Canadian Cowboy Country Magazine. You can subscribe online at cowboycountrymagazine.com. Till next week, I'm Hugh McLennan. Hope to see you down the trail somewhere real soon.